welcome to a new episode of Crafting with Cosplay Fabrics. My name is Indra, and today I want to share with you some suggestions on how to pick fabrics for your costumes. So today I'm bringing you to my home office because I wanted to use my computer to show you some ways that you can incorporate very interesting fabrics for cosplays. Sometimes when you see a design, it might look very plain, or the fabrics might be very just one-dimensional, and sometimes those things translate very flat when you want to create a costume, or sometimes you just want to make a very simple costume look a little more embellished or more extravagant. So this is what I wanted to share with you. So let's get to it. So here is the first example that I want to share with you, and this is the Jim Lee Catwoman. And at first glance, you might just look at a very just traditional cat suit. It might just be a pleather, maybe a shiny vinyl, something kind of like that. And that might be absolutely perfect, totally accurate to the character and everything. But I'll use just like a red here to kind of show you an example. So you might look at this and you might just make the bodysuit, but you might want to make it a little bit more interesting. And a way to do that is by adding different textures to the costume. And of course, this is absolutely just a suggestion and ways that you can make costumes look as if they were maybe for like a movie or something a little bit more of an oomph. So for Catwoman, for example, you can add different pieces to it, like panels. So you can either get a catsuit pattern that already has different paneling or different like sections. Like for example, Yaya has an amazing catsuit pattern that has these hems and sort of cuts to have different paneling, so that you can have it be more structured to your own body shape. So you can choose a pattern like that or make your own. But a great way is to start separating the fabric. So I'm just gonna click here, just a normal, that's a big. So you can start to kind of take apart like the pieces. So we'll just say that this is like the arm piece, right? And you can even make it so it might be easier on this arm. That might be where some of the hems are, and then you have the seams are, sorry, and you might have your side seam. Let's make that a little bit smaller. So like your side seam here, and then you have like that front where you have that zipper. You might have maybe like right under the chest, and you might even have, let's say you want to add different paneling like to the top of the sleeve and then the bottom of the sleeve, and this might be something kind of like here, or if you don't want that, you can also have it so that this panel right over here can continue down here, or you might want to have it so that it's like continuing here but ends like over here. You can have like a design like this, so then you can have different pieces and that have different textures. So you might have like the parts that are the most stretchy, which for a costume like this that is very form-fitting, you want to consider fabrics that are for that. There's the textured black pleather. It's like a two-way stretch, and this fabric is on the new fall 2020 line for the Yaya Han Collection, and it has a beautiful texture. It has a low stretch, so if you're gonna use something like that, which might look cool maybe on like the outside parts, like here, maybe if we ended up doing that two sleeve, maybe just like on some sections, you know, like that would be really, really cool. Like here, um, this part. And then the stretchiest parts, which are like the underarms, like right here, so that it's um, like the most fitting, or like this area, because you might be like bending and stuff. That's where you want to consider the biggest stretch. So you want to use a fabric that has a four-way stretch for these sections, and something that will also match with the fabric that I'm suggesting. So it maybe a super shiny fabric might not be the best. It might look super cool though. I always think that fabrics that have the same color but different finishes are always very interesting. But you might want to consider maybe $1 less, like mirror shine on the fabric, you know, not that wet look. So instead, using maybe a shinier fabric for the other options, like the gloves or like the boots and stuff like that. So once you have all of these pieces, then when you make your costume, it really makes the costume stand out. It might even look like a sort of like a movie ready type of costume. There's no right or wrong way to do this, but this is definitely a awesome way to make an already amazing design, just to give it that extra like embellishing. So the next thing that I want to show you, and this is an example, this is Toph from Avatar The Last Airbender. And usually with a character like this, you might just look at it and you might consider maybe a linen or a cotton or something like that, just to get that matching colors. But you can also bring this costume, like make it super like embellished, or make it even more extravagant by using very decorative fabrics. Now this is going to not be accurate, of course, but it'll still, I think that it really makes costumes look that much more amazing. I always love and encourage people to really take their costumes to the next level by incorporating some of their own like artistry into the costume. So something like this, you can use brocades, which will make the costume look very rich. So something like this, for example, like her tabard, you can use the cream brocade from the Yaya Han Collection. This is also from the fall of 2020. And you can use a matching brocade, something that has the similar design. There's also that green, that emerald green brocade, also from that line, and you can use it for all of the green parts. So then you can take this costume and add even like maybe like on the hems, you can add some sort of like embellishment, maybe something that kind of goes with like these parts, like her crown, or even like the little design that's on her ankles. And maybe something for her belt would be a very textured pleather. You can use something like a just a plain four-way stretch pleather. Just sew it over foam, and that would give an amazing look. You can also use something textured. Like I'm sure you've seen, a lot of the Cosplay Fabric line has a lot of textured pleathers. Some have like squares, some have more like animal print on them. So you have a lot to choose from, and I really do think that stuff like that makes these parts look amazing. You can use that for the cuffs, and also for those like ankle bracelets that she has. And I think that then that costume becomes like a sort of like a movie version of that outfit. So these are my suggestions. Of course, there are thousands upon thousands of designs out there, but these are just some of like the main things. Like when you have a character that might have something very flat looking, how using a very rich fabric will make that costume look incredible, or how you might incorporate different fabrics into a design so that it can make it even more interesting. Um, Again, this is just a suggestion, and I'm actually very excited for you guys to see like the new fabrics from the fall 20 line. I think that it's a really cool mix of like foils and, you know, this awesome like textured pleather that we have and all these unique brocades. So I hope that you get a chance to use these, and I hope that you find these suggestions useful for your cosplay projects. As always, I hope that you like and subscribe. I hope that you find this useful, and I'll see you soon for another tip, trick, or tutorial featuring cosplay fabrics. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye!